Hi, this is Craig Seeman, Green Party Media Committee, live stream producer. We're here in Baltimore, Maryland at the Green Party National Presidential Nominating Convention. Earlier today you got to see local candidates and office holders, House and Senate candidates, and many of you have, throughout this campaign, have been introduced to Jill Stein already, as well as our other presidential candidates. We have with us today Cheri Honkala, who is Jill Stein's selected vice presidential candidate, and we'll have an opportunity to get to know her a little bit about her background. She'll be new to a lot of people, those people who followed her campaign for sheriff in Philadelphia. Already have an idea of her history, but we'll have her talk about that to you. So, Cheri,
Yes.
when your life experience, what brought you into being first a political activist, and why, as a political activist, did you become a Green as opposed to using alternate political outlets, political parties, to express yourself electorally?
Well, my life has been a long journey. I'm a single mother. I have 2 children. And when my oldest son was 9 years old, we became homeless, and I couldn't get into the city shelters in the Twin Cities. And so I took over a house to literally keep myself and my son Mark from freezing to death on the streets of this country. And I figured, since I'm a strong, articulate, resourceful woman, that if that was happening to me, it was probably happening to other families across this entire country. So, I didn't know anything about politics, didn't have any interest in getting involved in politics, but pretty much because of the extreme poverty that I was living in, and feeling a responsibility to do something about what I saw in front of me, basically got me involved in politics. So from there, for the last 25 years, I've been teaching people across the entire country how to set up homeless encampments, how to move families into abandoned properties to house themselves. I've been teaching people how to fight for community land trusts so that people can collectively come together and fight for property that's owned by the community and has some say over what happens to it, community farms and gardens, so that we can feed ourselves. These are the things that I've been engaged in for 25 years. And in those 25 years, I've come up against a great deal of obstacles. I didn't realize how threatening it was to organize the disenfranchised in this country, and as a result have been arrested some 200 times for expressing my views and for standing up to injustice. So these are all of the little things that have happened to me in the last 25 years that have led me to become a Green Party member. For me, it was very easy. Both parties have been taken over by Wall Street, and you can basically knock on the door in any poor community, and most low-income folks will tell you that they're very clear about the fact that the one-party system does not represent their interests. And so it was about a year ago when the Greens approached me, and they said, Cheri, you want to take the foreclosure issue to the national arena? We have an idea for you, and that would be if you would decide to run for sheriff. And if you ran for sheriff on a zero foreclosures platform, where you would basically say that if I became sheriff, I would refuse to throw families out of their homes. Well, needless to say, in this country, that's a very attractive idea. There's over 6 million families that have now lost their homes to foreclosure. We know today in the newspaper, Wells Fargo is having to compensate some of the families, and they've been found to practice predatory lending and racial discrimination. And that was no mystery to the millions of homeowners. And it was actually last week when I was in Philadelphia that I was met by the Sheriff's Department, where Rhonda Lancaster, who lives in Germantown, and Miss Fran Scarsborough, who lives in Logan, we were met by the Sheriff's Department last week. Fran had her home taken from her from Chase Bank, and then Rhonda Lancaster, her mother had a reverse mortgage. And what a reverse mortgage is in your dying days, her mother needed to get a reverse mortgage so that she was going to be able to pay for her medical costs. So basically you trade being able to pay for your medical costs in this country as a senior, knowing that as soon as you die, they're going to take your home. And her daughter had lived with her for 35 years, caring for her mother in that home. And we were able to stop the bank from taking the property last week because we have some stuff going in court right now, but that battle is far from over.
Let me ask you, given it's a big issue where I'm from also in Brooklyn and Queens, where lots of people have lost their homes due to foreclosure. One of the problems I find is that in terms of electorally, politically, that a lot of people who go through foreclosure or being threatened with it don't connect the issue with what the elected officials can and don't do about it.
It's a very frustrating process. A lot of folks will get out there and talk about those big evil big banks and that kind of stuff, but they won't talk about the fact that we have a president in this country that has virtually said nothing about enacting a moratorium. We have a government that has basically stood by and bailed out the banks while we watch our neighbors and another million that are going to be thrown out on the streets this next coming year. My sister lived in her home for 20-some years. She has African-American children and an African-American husband, and they ended up homeless in my mother's living room this year. And this was after working full-time jobs. Both of them had about 2 jobs each. And they were victims of predatory lending, and their payments ballooned. And now they are basically struggling just to feed themselves and to feed their children.
So
our elected officials, are just as responsible, if not more responsible. And so, that's why I'm very excited about being a vice presidential candidate. Both Jill and I are committed to we're not going to proceed from fear, but we're going to tap into our courage and go forward and put out a plan that's about solving the horrible ills that exist right now in our country. And these are not idealistic. We live in a country that has plenty. There's enough to go around. If we really wanted to, we could end hunger. We would immediately do that. California alone has enough food to not just feed people in this country, but around the world. And it's right now we have 1 of every 2 people that are living at or below the federal poverty level. And we as the American people have to stop adjusting to a lower standard of living. And so I'm very excited that this whole Occupy process has been taking place across this country. We're up against some serious obstacles because our government has put billions of dollars into Homeland Security, which has really been about preempting the civil liberties of people in our own country. And I think people are beginning to get organized. And, you know, the old saying goes that you can, you know, fool the mind, but there's only so long that you can fool the stomach.
Let me ask you, what is, since you run for sheriff and had to deal with public persuasion and letting people know that not only are elected officials responsible, but that that the Green Party is something they should consider for doing that, because a lot of people who are very stuck, I know in my communities, the people who get foreclosed are still looking to the Democratic elected officials who've already failed them. I mean, the track record is there, otherwise they wouldn't be in this situation. I mean, there's what Obama did in terms of bailing out the banks and not bailing out the homeowners. What is your strategy towards persuading them? I mean, they're aware of the issue because they're the victims, that they need to look for you and Jill to solve this.
You know, I think that it's a very easy thing, and that means that we just really have to be about including people in this campaign, and we have to put strong emphasis on participation. And the people that are watching this today, we're going to win in this election by increasing Green Party membership. We have to go out there and knock on the doors, because not only the survival of our children and the next generation depend upon us building an independent party in this country, and that being the Green Party. It depends on people understanding that we're up against great obstacles, great odds, and the only way to solve that is if people actively get involved. And you know, we have ballot access issues across this country. We've definitely got them in Pennsylvania, where for a Democrat you only need 2,000 signatures, for a Republican 2,000 signatures, and you know, we as Greens are having to collect 40,000 signatures. And this is absolutely ridiculous. It's not, you know, democracy, it's not democratic. And the only way that we're going to change things is to not complain about it, not be afraid. And I think it's as easy as waking up a sleeping giant. I think it's just a matter of time till people, you know, learn about the Green Party and join the party, because we care about our future, we care about our children. And this is our country, and we have a responsibility to take it back.
All of us in the Green Party have been affected by the Occupy movement, and some of us have struggled with persuading. Again, this is in terms of voting, that so many of the people who are affected by this and so many people who are angry have given up on the political system. You'll find many people in the Occupy system they'll range from, well, I don't get involved with electoral politics, or you know, the two parties, as if they were the only two parties existing. How have you been outreaching to the Occupy people to let them know that we exist, and during the campaign targeting?
Well, I kind of see myself as one of the pioneers in this country around the whole Occupy movement. We were occupying land long before people used the word occupy. We, you know, out of necessity, we were and are working with homeless families to, you know, find a piece of land and to set up tents and to call attention to the contradictions around, you know, our politicians valuing corporations and protecting, you know, the wealthy in this country, and then just leaving the rest of us to die and live on the streets. And so I spoke at the National Occupy Gathering about a week ago in Philadelphia, and actually, participated in several of the events in both New York, Washington, and in Philadelphia and other occupies around the country. And we just have to continue to not allow mainstream media to marginalize people. We have to occupy the hood. We have to include everybody in this fight because it is a numbers game. And there's a growing equality of misery and poverty in this country. And like I said earlier, there's enough to go around. We don't have to proceed from this idea of scarcity. And, especially in this country, we have a responsibility to take back these basic human rights in our country.
So, given the challenges of being a Green candidate and the media pretty much shutting us out, I know from having watched a bit about your Philadelphia campaign is that you were very creative in your messaging. What kind of messaging, what are your thoughts about delivery? Because I'm very much being here into media and how to reach people when we have to rely on our own resources.
Well, Jill and I are going to have to do a variety of things. I mean, during my sheriff campaign, I literally went through the neighborhoods on a horse, rode the back of motorcycles with Vietnam veterans, did a whole host of different things. But we really have to have our own independent media strategy in this campaign. And so whether it's tweeting or Facebook or, sending emails or filmmakers writing films, musicians writing songs, doing whatever we possibly can, we're going to be able to reach the majority of the American people. I think particularly through an art and cultural strategy as well. A lot of our young people listen to messages in music and in theater, and we need to tap into as many creative ways as possible because, corporate media will consciously distort our message or black us out of the media.
Yes, and related to messaging, I know from fellow activists who I work with, they're even when they see something like this, Green Party candidates, and they're even quietly supportive, when they may not be able to say it in public. There's a concern about actually being critical of the current administration, and that somehow, it's still a case of this lesser evilism, and trying and being afraid to name the beast, as I say, and what criticisms are you willing to put forth on the Obama administration in the Senate and House? Is there anything specifically you can say that
Well, it's not just the Obama administration, right? It's also Mitt Romney is putting out this idea and putting out messages that somehow he cares about poor whites in America. He doesn't care if poor whites live or die. He doesn't care about any of them. And both Obama and Romney have been about protecting and supporting corporate America. And the thing that's exciting about this campaign is that we don't have to go out there and try to convince a small group of people. The majority of the people in this country are either trying to get something or trying to hold on to what they have. And so that's a much easier thing that we're going to be able to tap into. For us, this is not just a matter of taking the correct position. I have a pregnant woman who's Dominican. She's currently in labor right now, And the city of Philadelphia had nowhere for her to go. So she's living in my living room in Philadelphia with 4 children. When you get to a point like that, which is happening across the entire country, victims of domestic violence who are, being beat to death, and the shelters have been full to capacity for many, many, many months across this entire country, something has to change. Something has to break. We can't just operate like business as usual anymore. And we've got history on our side. We know that things don't just go in a straight line, that there's leaps that take forward. And I think that those of us in this country are going to, tap into our courage, and we're going to take that leap forward to ensure that we have a better America.
You make an interesting point when you talk about something like the shelter system in this country and the poverty that some people go through. And I know, that some of us have learned these things from personal life experience. There's an attitude in this country, even amongst people who are supposedly liberal and progressive, that people who are in economic distress are somehow at fault, that either ranging from not being motivated enough or not being intelligent enough. It's very denigrating, the system. What's your sentiment about the system that kind of puts down people who are poor, makes them bad, or sort of like crippled in some sense, in some negative sense, that they're at fault, that they've disabled themselves? How do you approach explaining that that's not the case?
Well, that is a very important challenge that we have ahead of us, because the media has really put into the minds of the people in this country that people in this country are, live the life of the rich and the famous. And that's not the case of the story of the American people. People are struggling every single day to work 1 or 2 or 3 jobs, and these stereotypes are very real. And we saw that during both the Reagan and the Clinton administration, when it convinced the American people that everybody that's on the dole or on public assistance is African American and drives a Cadillac and has 20 kids and that kind of stuff, when the majority of the people in this country that rely on some kind of government assistance are actually white. And so, people tapped into the history of racism in this country and basically ended a social welfare system that was seen as an entitlement. We don't have that anymore. It doesn't matter if you're a quadriplegic. You don't have a right to the basic necessities of life. And so, and when it comes to low-income families, those are some of the hardest working people I've ever seen in my life, where they get up every morning and you have to figure out how it is that you're going to make it through the day, make it through the month, how you're going to have enough rice or pasta or whatever in order to feed your children, and you have to figure out how to compete to sell your labor alongside, another 500 people or so who are trying to compete to get that same job. In Kensington, where I come from, Mother Jones made the famous march from the factories to New York City. And when she did that because children were losing their limbs working in the factories. If Mother Jones was alive today, she would have no factories to march from. Because jobs, they've either gone down south or they've gone to another place in the world. And as long as corporations are able to make record profits, paying, slave wages to children and others in other parts of the world, and we don't get serious about understanding that this is a global economy, we're really in trouble.
Your message messages that you're delivering. You're very, I'll say, you're very articulate, and there's a lot of experience that you've had that has gotten you there, and including running for sheriff of Philadelphia. One of the things I find is that activists are afraid of running for office, and you've moved from running for a large local office in a major American city now to being under consideration and likely nominee for Vice President of the United States. What kind of personal process did you go through to decide that you would be willing to take on such an enormous task that not only is the Green Party dependent on, but really the nation if you impact? What personally moved you to take on what would be for many people something they would fear? It would be a burden. It would be a personal exposition to the slings and arrows of not only the media but other progressives who feel, why should you do this? Shouldn't you working just in your neighborhood? What moved you? What caused that decision to happen?
Well, for me, I felt like I have a responsibility. There's literally thousands and thousands of families across this country that are responsible for making me who I am today. So it's African American women in the South. It's the indigenous friends of mine on reservations. It's my family. It's poor whites in trailers across America. All of these folks have really taught me everything that I know, and it's really their shoulders that I stand on, and I feel a sense of responsibility. They've lifted my name up, they've lifted my work up, they've participated in that work. And so when Jill called me on the phone and sent me a letter, I knew that this was going to be the hardest decision I would ever make in my life. And after consulting my two beautiful, wonderful children, because it would definitely have impact on both Mark and Guillermo, and as soon as I got the thumbs up from them, I knew that I had to do this. I think about maybe 10 years ago, I stopped being able to make decisions on my own, and really have been blessed to be surrounded by amazing people in this country, and have really deferred to their guidance. And so I knew both in my mind and in my heart that I had a responsibility to step forward and take on this position of running for vice president in a very serious way, so that we can put these real answers to the problems that are facing people in this country, first and foremost, out there to as many people as possible. And we had a responsibility to begin to involve the 99% that has basically been left out of electoral politics.
This has been an excellent half-hour introduction, and people are getting a sense of who you are. I'm going to give you a free-form final chance to give for you to give what would your introductory stump speech be? Now that we've had this background, your message in 2 minutes.
My message would be, those of you that are watching this right now, send us an email, bring up our website, Jill Stein for President, organize a house party, collect petitions, register Greens, join the Green Party. We need you. This is very serious. If we want to take our country back and set it in the right direction, don't see yourself as an outsider or somebody that can just sit on the sidelines. We need your full participation.
Thank you so very much, Cheri. Thank you for spending the time here. I'm sure uh, t- tomorrow going forward is going to be extremely hectic for you. I hope it'll be rewarding, not only for you, I actually hope it'll be rewarding for the people in this country, because you have a message people should be listening to. And we, the rest of us here, viewers, myself, will do our effort to make sure that happens. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And that was Cheri Honkala, Green Party Vice Presidential Candidate for the United States.